I have a celebrity pass for Winona Ryder, so Winona, cut, take that out. Cayenne pepper under his asshole. You know what I'm saying?
Stuck his face in a pile of and popped back up and just like in the first one.
Welcome, guys. This is the third episode of the Film Informers podcast. I am Josh. Of course, we are joined with Jordan over here on the other end.
How are you guys doing tonight? It's first night of football season. It's a big night, man. It's a really big night. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time.
Me too, man. We finally have a good movie to talk about.
Yes, we have a real movie, Beetlejuice, the sequel to the classic that we both rewatched.
We did. Yeah.
And I've been looking forward to it.
It was tough the past few weeks, man. We had The Crow, and then we had Afraid. Which really kind of sucked, man. I was like, damn, this is a rough way to start a movie podcast, guys. Like, check the upcoming movies if you're gonna start a new podcast, because damn,
we definitely should have did that. Yeah, we started on the Crow week, and then even if we were started a few weeks before that, it would have been Borderlands. So
yeah. Well, at least we got to talk about our favorite movies for 2023.
We did, which was a lot of fun.
We got that out there, that was, I feel like that was checked off the things to do list of catching back up with all this content. We have a ton of content we can do, Jordan.
We really do.
And this week we have, of course, again, Beetlejuice, directed by Tim Burton, which just came out today. It's been a long-awaited sequel to the original Beetlejuice, which came out way back in 1988. Obviously, it's a super well-known, well-loved movie. Personally, I really enjoy it. It's one that I missed as a kid, unfortunately, Jordan. I missed a lot of Tim Burton stuff, actually.
Me too.
I was not really ever shown his movies, and then when I would inquire about them, my parents were like, no, let's not do that. Like, his movies are dark, grim. It's
for the devil.
It's the exact opposite of what they wanted me to be watching. So when I got to finally explore Burton in, like, high school, it was like the dark fruit that you're not supposed, like the forbidden fruit.
I was about to say forbidden fruit.
It was the forbidden fruit. And so there definitely is a special place in my heart for Burton. But I watched Beetlejuice for the first time last year when I bought the Blu-ray. Really enjoyed it, man. I thought that Michael Keaton was fantastic. There's a reason he's iconic as he is.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, for sure. So I kind of have it's weird. I have a similar experience to you on Tim Burton movies and not at the same time, because I was shown them. Like, my mom, I still don't think she knows who the name Tim Burton is, but she likes his movies. Mm-hmm. She loved Beetlejuice. She loved Edward Scissorhands. Yeah. She liked Big Fish. Like, she just liked his movies for some reason. And Pee-wee's Big Adventure, his first movie. And that movie was terrifying, by the way. So
I've actually never seen
terrifying.
it. I've never seen it.
Dude, scars in my brain, some of the scenes in that movie. Like, really, in a good way. Like, I really like that movie, but like, it's really dark at times. It is. But so Beetlejuice, my first experience with Beetlejuice, wouldn't really count it. It was really just on in the background when me and my brothers were kids. And I never really gave it the time of day until yesterday when I texted you I was watching it. And I echo a lot of the sentiments you say. I think it's honestly great. Like, I have one major gripe with it, and I don't think the title character is in it enough. Other than that, it is super fun, super funny. Michael Keaton is obviously iconic in it. So many great lines that I wish I wrote down, because when he's on screen, he truly comes at you fiery, rapid fire, which is the opposite, I would say, in Beetlejuice. But we'll get into the second. We'll
get into number 2. Yeah, let's maybe save that. But number 1 has so many great lines. I wrote down a few this morning because I did rewatch it this morning, and they weren't even all lines from him. There's it's a great script, honestly.
It is.
For being as funny as it is and just as quotable as it is. I mean, it's not a perfect movie. I'm not necessarily in love with the original Beetlejuice. It does have some issues, which we can talk about, but. Let's see, a few that I wrote down. This one, I believe, is from Lydia. She says, live people ignore the strange and unusual. I myself am strange and unusual. And I loved the way she said that.
That is a Lydia line.
Yeah,
very much so.
For sure. And then the first line that made me bust out laughing was Beetlejuice. He was like, I've seen The Exorcist 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time. Just perfect for delivery from him.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's a few others. I'm the ghost with the most, babe. That one was I had to title on my my Beetlejuice review on the website, because that was just.
It was a leading quote. It's a good leading quote.
Yeah,
it really is. And I had mentioned it earlier, but Catherine O'Hara as the not the mom, but the stepmother.
Yeah,
she has
as Delia.
Delia. So many good lines.
Yeah,
and I think Jeffrey Jones is the name who plays Charles.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't in the sequel, and if you know anything about Jeffrey Jones, we'll get into it. Google him. There's a reason why.
I just learned this myself today. He's been canceled.
He has been canceled.
Yeah.
Won't repeat what he did, but he's been sentenced, and you can Google it for yourself. But I thought also just him and Catherine O'Hara's banter back and forth in the first one.
Their chemistry
was so good.
Yeah,
like they have a line where they're sitting at the table. And she's talking about decorating the house and everything. And then, like, Lydia's like, why are we living here? You know, and she's making a big deal about it. And then it goes to Charles, and he's like, you know, you would be busy for quite a while.
Yeah.
Like, and he just kind of looks off into the distance while saying, like, you're going to have a lot of time spent. I'm going to have a lot of free time.
He's like, hey, look at this huge kitchen. You can finally cook a decent meal. And there's this like awkward, just like the way she looks at him, and the pure disdain in her eyes.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. And I also thought there was sorry to interrupt you there, but just on chemistry, good. I thought the Maitlands had great chemistry between Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis. Again, a great just back and forth.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there was a lot of good chemistry going out in the movie there, which I guess kind of leads into the disappointment, because it's not a disappointing movie. It's a really good movie, but what keeps it from being a fantastic movie, in my opinion, is the lack of character story in the second half of the film. I thought the first half was a lot more entertaining for me. It just had it had a story drive that the second half of the movie just did not have at all. It kind of resorted to slapstick humor, which is what the movie's known for, and it's why it's as iconic as it is. But I would have liked some more characterization, just some moments to hit emotionally, because I feel like it kind of falls flat in that sense.
It kind of does. There was like because on the way to here, I was thinking, it's about what you had said about them, kind of the story starting with Barbara and Andy. And kind of thinking about that, and it really, because at first it's not really emotional, but at first, like, they really cherish that house and really love it, and that's their main goal in getting Beetlejuice, to try to drive the family out.
The giddy love between them two is super palpable. Like,
it is. It's like it's
almost just, it's really cute. It's fun to watch.
Very
like
much so.
They're having this staycation, which I feel like staycation probably was not a term back then in the 80s, you know?
I don't think so. He actually said those words.
No, they didn't. But they were having a staycation. They're having a vacation at home before it was hip. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And it's just cute. They're really enjoying what they have, their land, you know. I think a big theme throughout Tim Burton movies is the story of Americanization, right? And the story of just being an American and what that means. And here we have this adorable couple living in this beautiful house, in this beautiful plot of land, and they're just loving it. You know, they don't have any problems, you know. Everything's peachy, you know, and I think that was
no ulterior motives.
Yeah, it was fun to watch in this adorable sort of way that I feel like you only kind of get from movies in the 80s.
No, that absolutely agree with. Like, definitely 80s, heavy 80s vibes, and I really liked how it was. Speaking of cute, I just liked how their approach to ghosting was.
Yeah.
I love their cutesy, like, approach to ghosting, how they tease each other, even to the point where, like, they messing up their faces to where they look like weird, teethy pterodactyl creatures, and they're like, like Alec Baldwin has his mouth wide open and a tongue sticking out, and it was eyeballs, and he's like, honey, it'll be fine. Like, they're just talking like a cutesy.
That's Barbara's setup. He has his eyeballs on his fingers, and his face is stretched out like a dinosaur. But she has the mouth open with the eyeballs on the tongue.
You are right. And how, because the image that, right when you said his hands were eyeballs, I remember when she transforms, he has to, like, take his glasses off, and he, like, does like that. And he's like, oh, nice.
The only reason I know that for a fact is because there's actually a Barbara Mittlin Funko Pop of her in that form when she's in the monster form. So
I bet you that is a real pop.
It's they've restocked it, so it was pretty nice, and it's generally easy to come by now. But it's a cool one. It's a cool one.
Oh, that's definitely cool.
But Michael Keaton, fantastic. I mean, he makes this movie. Like, without him, the second half of this movie would not have worked. As a fan of Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, I still really did enjoy the whole movie. I just wish there was some sort of real emotional climax with Barbara and Adam on the second half of the movie. It just felt like I missed that, you know.
So for me, what kind of bogs it down for me is the second half, but in a different way. Like, I wasn't looking for the emotional thing, although I could definitely see that. If for me, like I said, the title character wasn't in it enough for me. Because, like, you build Beetlejuice up, and then you give him one. I mean, I know the grave scene where he has the exorcist line. There's a lot there, but really and truly, he only has that one climactic like sequence where he has a lot of meat to work with.
Yeah.
And then the movie just ends, and that kind of was a little bit of a letdown. I was like, oh, so he's not in it a lot. Like, he's in it maybe 10 minutes, or something like that. So that was my most disappointing thing. It was such an easy watch, and I thought it was really
I see
funny.
why it's as loved as it is. It's like you said, super easy watched movie. I feel like there's people who watch this every year or maybe several times a year, and I can understand it. I could do that too.
I might watch this. This might become like a Halloween watch for me, honestly. Yeah.
I'm 1 for 1, from last year to this year, so it'll probably keep going. Me and Caitlin both really enjoy it. But as far as Burton movies go, since we're relatively both, newer to Beetlejuice as an IP, what is your favorite Burton movie that you've seen?
So my favorite Burton movie would be when I watched him back when I was going through his filmography back in the day was Big Fish.
Okay.
That was my favorite from Burton. I just liked how, and I have now. This is not me rewatching it in a few years. It has been a few years. I need to rewatch it. But I liked how
I did just rewatch Big Fish though.
So okay, then I'm glad you said that. So correct. When I watched it, it felt like it was a lot more grounded than his other movies. Like, it still had his Tim Burton weirdness, but I said at the movie theater that his movies always feel like a fantasy to me. Mm-hmm. Like, always.
Yeah.
And I said a compliment and, not compliment.
It's his style.
It's his style.
Yeah.
And it can be a double-edged sword for me. I've said this before, I think, in our first episode. I'm not the biggest Burton guy. I'm not. But
Burt is like easy to digest surrealism, I feel like. It's not surrealistic really, but it kind of teeters towards that side of things when it's creating its realities. But yeah, anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good. But I liked how this one just felt more tilted in reality more. I felt like the balance was felt more realistic than it.
Which is kind of funny considering it's a movie about mythology and about
it is
and like stories that are bigger than life.
Time's a period in someone's life, and I know I get that.
I hear what you're saying, man, because it is grounded in the first portion of the story that opens up to you in Big Fish is the story of Will and his relationship with his father, which is generally what the movie boils down to, right? It's about Will learning about his father who is sick and about to die. So that second half, or that half of the film, is grounded fully in reality.
You just feel the emotion that way.
Yeah. No,
for me, I felt more emotion in that movie because of that than any of the other movies.
But even with that said, for me anyway, the parts in the mythological stories, in these stories that are bigger to life that are being unfolded with Ewan McGregor as the lead, that's the best part of the movie to me. I thought the other portions of the film featuring Will were actually not as entertaining for me. As
compelling.
Yeah, and I understand though for you it is a way to you're saying it was more emotional for you than his other movies because it was grounded in some realism.
It was easier for me to get attached to get attached to in that way. But I did like the grand way of living and ideas that he did too. I thought it was just the perfect blend of the two of his style really. And that's probably my favorite. And like
I super enjoyed it. I really loved it. I mean, I wouldn't say love, but it definitely is an important movie. I see why it's a lot of people's favorites. I think it's an age old tale, right? It's a movie about stories, about tales, right? It's a movie about how our legends are the stories we tell,
and
right?
Even down to the movies we watch. Movies are stories. We're storytellers. That's why we find this shit interesting.
Exactly.
And like I just thought it really, really encapsulated that.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at him. Other than that, I don't want to be like, because I really don't like a lot of Tim. Like all this, like I don't like his Batman movies.
Really? Okay.
I don't like the Batman or Batman, especially Batman Returns. I
haven't watched them enough to have a real opinion.
So they're done in his style.
Yeah, I remember them like well enough as a kid, but I have not seen them since I was a kid, right? But as a kid, I did enjoy them. Like I thought they were cool.
It might be just the Batman in me, like the Batman fan. And it's not even stuff what they do with the mythology. I just don't like the way it was told. Like it just especially Batman Returns.
Okay.
But I like his Charlie the Chocolate Factory movie.
I do too.
Well, Johnny, you do too?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one because everybody shits on that movie, and I like the different tale.
I'm not sure I'd give it like a fantastic review if I sat down and watched it just to review it, but I mean, it was enjoyable enough. I always liked Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's story.
I know, because it was weird, but Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was always weird.
Yeah. I mean, you got freaking Oompa Loompas walking around.
Oompa Loompas, and you got someone giving a girl a piece of candy, and she blows up into a balloon. Like, that was all in the
kid drowns in a chocolate river, or it doesn't drown, but he almost drowns.
He almost drowns in Chocolate River, which, to be fair, there's worse ways to drown.
And then it's almost like they all drop acid when they go down that tunnel. Like that, I feel like that's an early segue into doing psychedelics in college. Like, let's watch this scene in Charlie and Chocolate Factory where they literally all have like a DMT experience or an acid experience in this tunnel, which I don't think it's ever explained. It's just magic. Right?
No, it's not explained.
It's just this crazy factory.
Doesn't. And then you got our boy Christopher Lee, who we talked about last week as his dad, Charlie's dad.
Hell yeah!
I like humanizing Willy Wonka. I know that it sounds, because he wasn't. Gene Wilder was great as a character. I like getting into the backstory of Willy Wonka, because he's a weird guy, man. Like, he's an odd guy. And
how did you feel about his Alice in Wonderland?
I don't remember that well.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really don't remember that well.
No, I remember them pretty well, especially because the second one is actually, which I don't think was Tim Burton, but the sequel to his Alice in Wonderland was the first movie. Me and Caitlin's first date.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, that one definitely has stuck with me. It was not critically acclaimed at all, but Alice in Wonderland did gross over $1 billion, and that's by far his most successful movie.
That's why they did a sequel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and I think several sequels at this point. But so how about like well, I know he didn't direct Nightmare Before Christmas, but it's essentially his movie. Like, how do you feel about the animated ones?
The animated one, so Nightmare Before Christmas is really the only one I can speak to.
Okay.
Even though it's technically not him directing. I love Nightmare Before Christmas. Gotcha. That I love. And
so you haven't seen Frankenweenie or Corpse Bride?
I haven't seen Corpse Bride. I haven't seen Frankenweenie. I went through a long period, folks, where I just didn't watch a lot of movies, and I regret that part of my life. But so I will catch up, but I'm missing quite a bit. But what about his Planet of the Apes movie? Have you seen that?
I actually haven't seen that one.
With Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It does some weird things with the mythology. It really doesn't line up all that well with the previous movies. But Paul Giamatti is an orangutan in it.
Really?
And it's entertaining.
What the fuck?
And it's literally what you think. It's Paul Giamatti playing an orangutan
in a suit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Not mocap. Not mocap. He's in a suit and everything.
Ooh. I need to watch this
with
now.
Makeup. You do.
I wish we had a media guy. Hey, pull it up, Jimmy.
Tim.
You know?
No.
Damn, once we get big, we'll have that. You know?
We do. We just need to train one of your cats. We just need to train Haku on how to be the mic guy.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm going through his list just to see, because I don't like to completely crap on a guy. But
no, I understand. Like it's definitely a turned on. Like, if you like one Tim Burton movie, you'll probably like the next. You'll probably like the next one. You know, and if there's something you don't like about him, it's gonna be hard to get into it, because his movies are all pretty similar. Like, they have a similar vibe to him.
They all do.
Like, he chooses these stories where he can really. He loves special effects. He loves, crazy visuals, which he does fantastic. Like,
absolutely
honestly.
Fantastically, dude.
And I know that you haven't finished watching it, but I love Edward Scissorhands. Like, that, to me, that is the one that has the place in my heart. That I cherish the most. It's probably the one I love the most. I've seen the most times. I remember really liking Sweeney Todd, but I haven't watched that one enough to.
Your love of Edward Scissorhands would make my mom very happy.
Yeah.
Very happy. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love the themes. I love how it's it's a personified idea of like the Industrial Revolution. It's like, let's take the concept of automation and like make it a human and like put it in the suburbs and let the people play with it, and it like Edward Scissorhands could have honestly delved into a hard R-rated horror film where he ends up just like murdering a ton of people.
I'm so glad it didn't happen.
They did not do that. I don't know. I kind of want to see that movie, honestly, because I feel like that might speak to the movie's themes better than the fact that it kind of becomes a romance in the third act of the film, really, between him and Winona Ryder's character. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this for you right now.
No, I figured
Okay.
that's what it was. And I remember, like, so I tried to watch it the other day. And I wasn't really feeling it, but some other reasons I really couldn't get into it. But back in the day, my mom watched it a lot.
Yeah.
So I remember bits and pieces. So you're not spoiling anything.
Okay.
There.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I have a whole review on it. So if you guys love Edward Scissorhands, or if you want to learn more about it, video right here, so you guys check it out. But I did not get to rewatch Sleepy Hollow, which I know I've seen Sleepy Hollow. I just don't remember it at all. And then the one that I really, really want to watch is Ed Wood, which I've never seen.
Me neither.
And which I hear great things about.
Yes, me as well. I would be. Is that Johnny Depp?
Yeah, Johnny Depp and Bill Murray's in it. I forget who plays the female lead in the movie, but
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep, I got it right here.
And that's a remake of a classic film, and it's one of his earlier, well-reviewed films. So it's one that I definitely have always felt like I've missed out. Other than that, I've pretty much seen all the big ones.
So this movie, we're talking about off camera. We're talking about camp earlier.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about this movie because it's camp. It's too campy for me. Mars Attacks. A lot of people love that movie. I hate it, but like it is just really not my thing. But
I can't speak to it too much. I don't remember it really well.
The cast is insane. Like Danny DeVito, Jack Black,
Glenn Close, Jack Nicholson.
I think Jack Nicholson's in it. Like Annette Bening, I think, is in it. Like it is an insane.
Sarah Jessica Parker, Michael J. Fox. Damn.
But do not get
Natalie Portman.
Damn. But do not mistake. They don't play real characters.
No.
They're just there.
Dang.
Like and they just there and it's supposed to be campy. It really is. Like that's definitely what he was going for. It just jumps the shark for me.
Honestly, this one has been raised to the top of my list now, next to Ed Wood, because that actually kind of sounds really fun.
No, you should. It's worth the watch.
Sounds really fun.
It is definitely worth the watch.
Yeah.
I've never seen his Dumbo movie.
I have. I wasn't in love with it. It wasn't bad, but I was not in love with it.
So
no.
Disney live action, Disney animated.
I mean, I love Corpse Bride. I love Nightmare Before Christmas. I watch Nightmare every single year. That's become one that I've really, really cherished. It's another one that like I was not allowed to watch as a kid that I really, really wanted to. And then when I got my hands on it, I was like, you know what? I'm into this. Like, I'm going to cherish this.
The boogeyman in that movie gave me not nightmares.
Oogie Boogie.
The Oogie Boogie, yeah. Did that to my Santa Claus. Very disturbing looking Santa Claus too.
Well, I'm backtracking a little bit here, but going back to Big Fish, because I did write a review for that and posted it on the website. And that's a movie. You remember it well enough, so I can talk about the ending, right? I guess spoilers for anyone who's not seen it, and maybe spoilers, maybe not. I'm not really sure, but what kept me from really giving that a great review, like giving it 4 stars or higher, is again the same sort of thing with Beetlejuice, where I felt like the characters did not hit emotionally for me in the second half. I felt like the special effects, the again bringing those mythological stories that were bigger than life to the screen was like very entertaining, but when it came down to the reality aspect of it, I just felt like I still wasn't attached enough. I mean, the whole movie is about Will trying to get to know who his father Edward actually is, and I feel like as an audience we don't really ever get there. Like there is the whole big thing at the end of the movie with Spectre, which is the town he kind of he basically brings back to life. It's the third act's kind of climax of the film. Like, where was Edward all these years when he was not there for his son and he was over there taking care of other people, which is something I can heavily relate to as a pastor's kid. So there was some sort of emotional attachment for me there, but Will's not the main character. Edward's the main character, and I just don't feel like I was emotionally super attached to him in the end when he passed away. It's still a great scene, a really enjoyable movie that I'm going to rewatch a lot.
Yeah, see, I cried.
Yeah, really?
I cried, but so I want how to phrase this and ask. So, was it because you wanted to learn more, or you didn't feel like you ever actually learned more about Edward, who he was as a person, rather than just being a vehicle for the for the story? That's what you meant. I can see that. There
was really any super emotional moments for me. I mean, outside of the moment where he dies, which is the most emotional. It's the emotional climax, but to get to that climax, I don't feel like there was any there was no really character arcs or characterization other than just kind of telling the story.
Him going through it. No, that's fair.
But it's a super enjoyable story. It's a great story. I'm jealous. I wish I had a father or a grandfather who is, that cool, right? Like Edward seems like the kind of guy you want to be your grandpa.
Absolutely.
Or father,
Oh, absolutely. And I would want Ewan McGregor to also be my grand. Like I want him to play him.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want Ewan McGregor to be?
You guys could play Star Wars in the background. Like I have the high ground.
Don't give me any ideas. You'll never be able to get me on a podcast again if I actually that actually came to.
Which again, Jordan, thank you for being here. While there's sports. There's sports ball being played on TV right now.
Sports, there is the Chiefs and Ravens playing right now.
Yeah, all that sports ball stuff that you're so into. I really appreciate you still being here, Jay.
No problem. And I am
seeing Beetlejuice with me.
And no, I am not checking my fantasy this whole time.
Wait, are you? Is that what you're doing over there, Jay?
No, I'm really not.
I'm
really not.
Going into Beetlejuice 2, I guess we've already kind of said this, but to preface our review and our feelings on it, we are both not incredibly attached to the first one, as many people are. We enjoy it. We appreciate it. I think it's like a 3.5 or 4-star for you.
Yeah, but I could see 3.5. It's really, like you said, 3.7.
Yeah.
It's in between that sweet spot.
Right. It's just short of greatness, but it is, maybe over time we'll come to love it more as we watch it over the years. But going into Beetlejuice 2, yeah, we're not like incredibly in love with this IP. So this was not as big or as hype of a movie for us as many of you who are watching this video. Now going into that, I'm sure we're both going to give it a super fair review. So I think, as we kind of give our feelings about it, it's best to just walk through the movie and walk through what happens. So there will be spoilers. We will be talking about the elements and the actions of the film and what happens in the story. So if you do not want it to be spoiled, you can skip to the end of this, and we'll have our general feelings about the movie at the end of the full review here. So there's that. So you want me to kick it off, Jay, or you want to kick us off with how the movie opens up and the story?
No, you can kick it off. You can kick it off.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, the movie kind of starts with Lydia, who is, I would say the main character or secondary main character of this film, her and her daughter.
Oh, yeah, co-main character, Jenna Ortega's character.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'd say then her daughter, whose name is Astrid. If Astrid's the main character, then Lydia is just as important.
Who fit perfectly in, by the way. I thought Jenna Ortega fit perfectly in with the universe, for sure.
Oh, she did. I mean, Jenna Ortega is the new Scream girl,
She is Scream Queen.
Scream Queen, right, that's great. And absolutely. I think she's awesome.
I agree.
So Lydia, who obviously went through a shitload of stuff in the first Beetlejuice,
traumatizing stuff,
traumatizing stuff.
A little bit of witnessing your family get possessed and almost eaten by a ghost snake.
Right. And I guess what's important about that is that she realizes she has this power to communicate with the other side. So, of course, in good form, she is a TV show host. I feel like she would probably have a podcast as well in this modern day story
I would assume so.
Yeah, they don't really get into that, but I feel like Lydia Dietz has a podcast where she talks about ghosts. But her show is called Ghost House, and of course she basically brings people who have haunted property on, and she goes into their property and basically gets them info about their ghosts. So that's pretty cool. After it introduces Lydia, I felt like the movie kind of just... It did so much in the first 20 minutes, bro. Like there is a lot to say here. And some of it is like, doesn't really seem that important, but
most of it doesn't. Most of it's not.
Right. Lydia finds out that her father is dead. Charles from the first movie.
Charles from the first one.
So she goes to see her mother, Delia?
Delia? I think it's Delia.
Yeah, who is now a successful artist. And she still is as pretentious as you remember her.
But just as funny.
Just as funny. Oh, my God.
She's just as funny.
She is fantastic.
She has the biggest laughs in this movie.
She did. She got the biggest laughs.
She does.
And for a Thursday 3 p.m. showing, our movie was packed.
Absolutely packed. Not with the best of people. But
we had a noisy audience.
We did. I thought someone was on the phone at one point.
Yeah. Anyway. So, of course, everyone's sad about Charles dying, which, again, Charles cannot be in this movie because he is either in jail or just out of incarceration because he did some things. He's canceled. So R.I.P. to that guy in the story and in real life. But there's this random artist, I don't think he was ever given a name, in the beginning of the movie, who works for Delia.
The foreign one?
Right, the French guy.
Yeah.
He was going to be doing some graffiti art with Delia, and it's canceled because Charles died, so he walks outside, immediately falls into a sewer. A lot of people die in this movie. Just to say that real quick.
They do.
There's a lot of just low-key people just dying real quick, and just as a vehicle to get to the afterlife.
Correct.
Which is cool with me because the afterlife is the best part about Beetlejuice.
And I'm so glad that this sequel, most of it takes place in the afterlife.
Thank goodness.
I would say the majority of it does.
I might disagree with you there. I'd say it might
Really?
be an equal split, if not a little less.
Huh.
But we're gonna dive through the story here, so we can talk about that. But basically, yeah, this unnamed artist who falls down this hole, dies, takes us to the bureaucratic afterlife once again, which is just the most iconic place from this whole story. It's what I feel like everyone's in love with. He has to go get his number from the clerk, which I love how they paint the afterlife as a bureaucracy.
I love it so much.
It's fucking hilarious. So yeah, in this awesome bureaucratic afterlife, Danny DeVito plays a dead janitor, and I love that they threw him in there.
A little cameo, quick Danny DeVito. I thought he was gonna be in it more. I don't know why I thought that. I saw his name like on the title somewhere on a poster, but it was cool seeing him. It's always cool seeing Danny DeVito.
He makes an accident and quickly unlocks the
one of the 50 main characters in this movie.
I guess the antagonist, kind of, Dolores.
I guess.
So in the first movie, when he's about to marry Lydia, he drops real quick in a sly comment that he used to have a wife and that this would not be his first marriage. He says that very, very, very quickly.
I didn't even catch that.
And they just took that and they explored that idea. Now, I was not a huge fan of this plot B in the movie, if I'll be honest, but we'll get more into that. So Dolores is, as Beetlejuice puts it, a soul sucker, and she's good at it, is what he says.
Which killed me every time, by the way. Every time they called her a soul sucker, I was just like, yep, that's what happened, and they shrink up in their little body.
Yeah, and she literally sucks your soul, and
R.I.P. Bob, though.
Yeah, and she's like Elvira, and she's like a sexy MILF vampire. Is kind of the vibe there.
Oh yeah, she was giving that. What's the girl's name for Resident Evil 7? She was giving her
Madame.
vibes.
I forget right now.
But
I love Resident Evil. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes,
you'll put it in.
Yes,
he does fancy things with the edits. He'll put her in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. No, I thought she was cool. I like that they explored his previous marriage. I just feel like the film didn't have enough time to fully explore it, and they kind of had a few too many elements in the movie. Anyway, I don't want to get off track here. Yeah, so we meet Jenna Ortega's character. She's playing Astrid. She is very much the opposite of her mom, in true form. She kind of hates the supernatural. She doesn't believe in it, right? She thinks the ghosts are all bullshit. She does not like the fact that Lydia, her mom, is dating the producer of the show, whose name is Rory.
Yeah. Rory, played by Justin Theroux.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, and then... So after we meet Astrid, we meet another character. We meet Defoe, who's playing a detective in this afterworld, which I thought was awesome.
He was great in the role, but he's one of the many characters thrown in this pot that I just don't think it made a good enough meal. We'll get more into that.
Yeah, no, he's part of Plot B, right? We can refer to that as Plot B throughout Plot this. B. Yeah, the detective, and basically he is informed that Dolores, who was basically in jail, in afterlife jail, her different body parts are in different boxes, and which again Danny DeVito accidentally knocked them over and unleashed her. So Defoe's character is out there hunting down Dolores in this afterworld, and again she's a soul-sucking member of a death cult, and she was once married to Beetlejuice before he chopped her up into little bits and I guess put her in jail back in the day.
Which I guess that confirms Beetlejuice was a serial killer. Not serial killer, but
he was a murderer. He was a bad boy. I mean, it's shown that he was a grave robber back in, what is that, like the 1800s or something?
That is true.
I loved that little black and white segment.
Oh, that too, when he had that whole monologue going on there, and it was such a Beetlejuice thing, though, Tim Burton thing to add.
And another thing they did was the little animated part with Charles dying in the plane crash.
The
that
claymation
was cool.
thing, that was so cool.
Claymation, yeah.
And so after he gets bitten off, like the chunk bitten off, I love the practical effect of like every time it shows his top half, you have blood squirting.
Right. So Charles is killed by a shark. Right.
Yes.
So yeah, when he is represented in the afterlife, he has no top half of his body. It's just the middle half, like right here, and there's blood squirting out of it.
And it's amazing. Every time he talks, the blood squirts out, and it
gets on people who he's talking to, and it's a great little special effect. It looks fantastic. And if it feels like I'm jumping around here a lot, it is because this movie does jump around a lot in the first 30 minutes. Again, it's introducing all these elements. It's kind of throwing them at you. It's kind of a lot to consume. I think we kind of agree on that.
No, definitely. And it doesn't, unfortunately, lead to anything. It feels like every element every character was just a plot device for specifically Beetlejuice's character, Lydia, and Astrid.
Right.
Like every element dealing with that just involved them getting to where they needed to be at the very end of the movie, and it didn't really mesh all that well most of the time. Honestly.
I agree with you. I feel like it was kind of rushed. Like they had a longer script and they chopped some of it down or something. I feel like they could have removed a few elements for it to have hit more in the climax.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree.
The one missed element for me, and you haven't touched on him yet, but you're getting to that area, is the boy that Astrid meets.
Right. So yeah, that's kind of jumping a little bit. Essentially what happens here is Astrid and Lydia, they go to the house from the original movie.
Yes.
Which is where Delia lives, I guess, when she's not in New York doing her art stuff. They're there to have the funeral for Charles. And Astrid's not having any of it. She doesn't want to be a part of it. She's just,
typical.
Very angsty high schooler, coming of age stuff here. She goes into town and meets this boy, what's his name?
Jeremy.
She meets this boy named Jeremy in the town, and they kind of form a little relationship there. And there is several twists associated with him.
There is.
Which we will get into in a second here. So Astrid is getting super overwhelmed with the funeral and the fact that Rory proposes to Lydia at the funeral, which is super fucking weird.
Awkward as shit,
dude. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
No. Just no. So yeah, I guess that's kind of a reasonable thing to run away from as a teenage girl.
100%.
Just trying to take all of that in at once. And she doesn't like Rory, and for good reason. He's kind of a douchebag.
Oh, he is very much a douchebag. But real about the funeral scene, love that they got the Banana Boat song in there. When they had the choir kids singing the banana, dude, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. Yes, I really did, and I really enjoyed them slipping the song in there.
See, for me, this whole first 45 minutes, like you said about the first movie, I just wanted Beetlejuice. I wanted more Beetlejuice off the bat there, and we get one scene from him in the first 45 minutes where it introduces him, and he's kind of living in a call center. He seems like he's really busy in today's day and age in 2024, because he's got a whole call center full of the shrunken head dudes. They're all working for him. I forgot that part out because it really doesn't do anything besides bringing Beetlejuice back into the world. It doesn't have any significance to the general plot there.
No, not really. And unfortunately, Beetlejuice just feels like an afterthought in his own movie.
It's so weird.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
Most of the time until the end, where all the elements come together, and then oh yeah, this is a Beetlejuice movie. And
yeah, it's like they don't want to overuse him, so they try their best to save him and build the plot outside of him, and then he comes in to save the day as this anti-hero almost.
Which I understand that aspect of it. I really do. I just wish they would mesh it feels like their main goal is still to show Beetlejuice, but they don't want to show Beetlejuice at the same time. So they have to, in the meantime, get all these different elements to throw in there to get Beetlejuice to where he needs to go.
Which in the first movie I really did enjoy the initial couple that we talked about, the Mitlands, and then the new couple and Lydia. And I felt like the second Beetlejuice, it's got just too much fluff going on.
Way much going on. Too much going on
to get to where we all really want to get to, which is Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. Who ultimately I thought is obviously he's aged. He's not as good as he used to be.
No, he's not as good. No.
They don't really give him as much spice, as much cayenne pepper under his asshole. You know what I'm saying? There's not as much off the wall or balls to the wall Beetlejuice shit.
No, yeah, he doesn't come off like he just stuck his face in a pile of Coke and pop back up and just like in the first one. In the first one, he's
the Tony Montana Beetlejuice vibe. We did not get that.
We did not get that. He's off the wall in the first one. He's saying lines so fast that you can barely understand him. And I never got bored of that. I wanted more of that.
I did too.
And in this one,
do you think he had it in him? He's so old. He's old.
Honestly, no. Not. I don't think he could, because you see glimpses of it in Beetlejuice, the sequel.
But he's like, oh, my back hurts so bad.
Exactly. I'm not gonna do it all that much, but you can see glimpses of Keaton trying to dip his toe into that aspect of the character. But he was way more somber and toned down in this one.
Yeah.
I also thought that because he was a major perv in the first one.
He was.
And I felt like that was so toned down in this one a lot, which could be a good thing.
Yeah.
That they did that.
It's more PC for sure.
For sure. But he was still great as a character. Like, I'm not trying, like, he was still great in this movie.
Just to continue with the general plot of the movie, though, basically everybody sort of ends up in the afterlife at one way or another. Delia dies very stupidly by poisonous snakes.
Hilarious.
Astrid is taken there by this boy Jeremy, which is kind of the big twist of the film, which for you it seems like it hit, like that worked for you.
First part of it hit, it didn't stick the landing at all though.
I agree.
Whatsoever.
This movie has a problem sticking landings.
Whatsoever. But I thought they mishandled his ending the worst, cuz like that was of all the plot Bs as we're calling it. That was the one that
I'd say this is plot A. I'd say Jeremy and Astrid is plot A.
It doesn't get treated like it. Because it gets dealt with like
it's how Astrid and Lydia end up in the afterlife, right? So essentially, it's
a plot device.
It's plot
it's
A.
Plot device for that. So it's plot A in terms of being a plot device, but it does not feel like it, and it doesn't get the treatment of it. Because I know like technically it's that, but it's taken care of the second it gets in. The second they get to the afterlife,
agree completely with you.
It's just like okay, they're in the afterlife now. Bye.
You're right.
Like, and just go. And whenever they first introduce, like, oh, dude, he killed his parents, his serial killer. In my head, I was like, this could be really cool.
It kind of loses itself there. So what Jordan's getting into here is we learn that Jeremy is actually dead, which was a cool twist.
It was.
I give it that. It was set up really nicely. When Astrid first goes into his house and she's brought upstairs to his room, it purposely doesn't show the face of his dad or his mom. And really, I was thinking, like, wow, did they just not have money to cast, like, big names for these characters? Like, it just didn't show their faces at all. I was like, I guess it's not going to matter. And at that point, there was so many elements going on in the film that I was like, doesn't fucking matter. Didn't really register. And then we learned that we couldn't see their face because both of their faces have things plunged into them.
Correct.
Because Jeremy murdered them, which is the second twist. So, again, Astrid learns that he's dead. He convinces her to come to the afterlife with her to see her father. We then learn from Lydia's side of the things, who is talking to the real estate agent from the original movie's daughter. I forget the names of those characters, but
the Butterfields.
The Butterfields, maybe.
I think it's the Butterfields.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Butterfields explain that there is a family or a house on that street that cannot be sold because there were murders there. Lydia's like, oh shit, what address? Of course, ends up being the address where Jeremy lives.
Naturally.
So we learn that he is dangerous and he is bringing Astrid to steal her soul. And that is the reason that Astrid ends up there. And then, of course, who does Lydia turn to for help?
Beetlejuice.
Good old Beetlejuice. And there is actually a fantastic scene where Rory and Lydia end up encountering Beetlejuice for the first time in the film, where basically Rory wants her to deal with her trauma because he is a very emotionally progressive man who definitely takes on the feminine energy, I guess.
The burdens of a man showing his emotions on his sleeves.
He explains his vibe in a sentence, and I forget exactly what he says, but basically he describes himself as an emotional masculine or something along those lines. Anyway, in forcing her to deal with her trauma, he summons Beetlejuice, and they are brought to the world of the scaled village.
The model, yes.
The model that was created by Adam. And they meet Beetlejuice for the first time. And that is, I guess, like the real first big scene for us with Beetlejuice is that. And I really enjoyed how he freaked out Rory. That was pretty cool.
You like it? It was one of the best scenes in the movie for sure. Yeah, I love that.
Man, dude, Keaton, even though he is old and we've kind of dogged on him, he still had a lot of fun.
He did. Oh, you could definitely tell he wasn't phoning it in. Like, no. I don't know if we gave that impression. He definitely didn't phone it in.
No, he had a lot of fun.
He did.
Lydia does turn to Beetlejuice to help her save Astrid from Jeremy. Of course, he agrees, but he agrees under the condition that she'll marry him, which is ultimately his goal this whole movie.
And in the first one too.
Yeah,
he tries to marry in the first one. Oh, for sure.
Well, in the first one, it kind of is thrown in there at the end, I feel like. But in this movie, the very first scene with Beetlejuice, he has a picture of Lydia on his desk, and he's staring intently at it, and you get the idea off the bat that he still wants her. He still wants that promise to marry her from the first movie, and he ropes his way into it again. This one.
Can you blame him? Winona Ryder.
Adorable.
Just,
I'm in love.
I am too. Every time like she gets on her quirky monologue, I'm just like, oh, my heart.
I have a celebrity pass for Winona Ryder, so Winona, hit me up. I'm just kidding. So cut. Take that out. So at this point of the movie, everybody is in the afterlife. I really did enjoy the moments with Dahlia and Charles. Astrid ends up getting saved. Jeremy, as you kind of said earlier, just gets written off.
Gets written off so fast.
Beetlejuice kills him. He's gone.
With no hesitation, like Winona Ryder's like, Lydia is like, hey, can you help me with this? And the very next scene or the very next other, like whenever they get into the afterlife, he takes care of him.
Well, he's already dead, right? So he didn't kill him. He removed him from the story, and we never see him again. Essentially, Astrid does end up seeing her dad, who for her anyway is a big part of this movie. She does miss her dad dearly. There's a cute scene with them. That for me did not work emotionally.
Me neither.
At all. Again, because there's so much going on in this movie. It doesn't hit.
It doesn't hit as like they wanted it to. Also, the conversation was just really short and basic. But the prosthetics of the fishes nibbling on him was making me laugh inside.
Yeah.
But that just goes back to the visuals.
The prosthetics are fantastic.
It is.
And again, this movie is a visual treat. That's what it's all about. And Tim Burton you can tell he had a fucking great time making this movie.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's his first movie in 5 years.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, after that, they do move on to the marriage. Beetlejuice has to get what he's due, which is Lydia, who's also supposed to be marrying Rory. Coincidentally, that same night, it is Halloween night at the script at this time. Rory also, just like Jeremy, gets written off by Beetlejuice. Man, Beetlejuice just shuts down characters when he meets them.
And his ex-wife. They both get taken out by the sandworm.
That is what I wanted to say, is Dolores. I haven't really even mentioned her from the beginning because really the sub B plot in this film involving Dolores is not essential at all. She has scenes where she kills people looking for Beetlejuice. Outside of her looking for Beetlejuice, they play no role in the film at all outside of just being something cool. I guess it's cool. I don't know.
It was cool every time she sucked their soul and sucked everybody up.
Suck them up.
It was cool visually, and R.I.P. to Bob, one of the best side characters in the show. In the movie. R.I.P. Bob.
R.I.P. Bob. And DeVito. Man, she took out a lot of good ones.
She really did, but that's all she did.
So Beetlejuice exposes Rory for being the money-grubbing fraud that he is. He's just marrying Lydia for her money. Beetlejuice, on the other hand, actually does seem to have like some emotion towards Lydia. I mean, in the slightest way. I guess I don't even have to mention that. It's not real. I'm just maybe making that up in my head.
I think in his own fucked up Beetlejuice way, I think he cares about Lydia.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I do believe that in his own weird way.
So the B plot and I guess the A plot of Lydia trying to get to know her daughter. I guess this movie is really a mom to daughter story about them just kind of bonding a little bit and getting to know each other more. All of the elements come into play at this church where they're supposed to be married. It's the climax of all the different plots, but it's also the climax of fun. That's a fun scene.
It is a very fun scene.
Yeah. I agree with you that it is disappointing in the fact that there's not really any emotional or character climax at all. It just comes down to this grandiose special effects moment, out the wall, out the ass, just wild shit happening.
They go for it, and you can tell that's why the scene was fun, because you can tell the cast, Jenna Ortega, Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, they were having a blast.
Yeah.
And you can tell. And like they kind of remade, I like how they that climactic scene, they kind of but do their own version of the dinner Banana Boat song in the first one, where they're all like mimicking the
it's another musical.
It's another musical piece, and I thought it was great. It really was great.
Beetlejuice is a musical guy, man. He's really good at possessing you for musical numbers.
And you know what? They always slap. So if they make a Beetlejuice 3, do it again.
Straight musical. Honestly, just a Beetlejuice musical.
I was a genuine face, because I would be down for that. Like maybe not fun. Every line of dialogue.
No,
musical?
But just more of that possession singing stuff. It's so much fun.
It is so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's a good idea. Tim Burton,
Hey,
take notes. Take notes.
You've been on vacation for long enough, Burton. Come on.
You come home and this movie's about to make a shit ton of money, probably.
Ooh,
so
baby.
get that third sequel cooking.
Just don't bring your babies to the theater because you know who you are. If you're listening to this,
you know who you are, and intrusive thoughts of kicking babies. What? Who said that?
So it sucks that Defoe really doesn't play a central plot at all because he's so good.
He's so good.
He's so underutilized.
He's so real. If you've seen the movie, you get that.
Yeah, he's a detective, but in the real world, or in his life, he was an actor.
He was an actor.
Yeah, there's literally a character who is his secretary, and every time he speaks, she brings him
and he never
a cup
drinks
of coffee.
It's one of my favorite bits in the movie.
Yeah, and there's a trash can full of crushed coffee cups, and it's like, dude, that's good.
And
that's
every time he brings her, he's like, "Thank you," and he winks at her. You keep me real. Like he was so good.
He was good.
He was so good.
It's sad that it's such throwaway scenes though.
I know. It's his character is just whatever.
I would have liked him and Beetlejuice to have scenes together.
And they only really have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
really
scene where
one.
he's talking to him about Dolores. He lets Beetlejuice know that she's on the hunt for him and to watch out. Which again, I just feel like they cut some of that, man, because
they had to, man,
because it really doesn't go anywhere.
This entire time, I'm not kidding. I've been trying to think of because even the Jeremy stuff that gets cut off from its knees, it still served the purpose of getting the characters into the afterlife. I don't know what purpose Dolores serves. I'm really trying to I've been trying to think about it, and just to add some horror elements.
Basically. Just to add that Elvira type sexy vampire element to it.
It's all I got.
Sexier, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something that we're missing. I detailed a lot throwaway line but it's not.
If it's that easy to miss, then
I agree. No,
does it really matter?
Exactly.
And again, she and Rory are taken out of the plot by a spider, the same way Beetlejuice, or not a spider, a snake from Arrakis. The sandworm from Arrakis. Yes, you got a Paul up there.
I would love to see a sandworm fight between that sandworm.
I always felt like
Paul's.
that was Arrakis when they were going. I know it's Saturn. They call it's Saturn's moon or something, but it feels like Arrakis, especially in this movie with the way the sand was shifting under their feet.
I know. I kind of wanted to just yell at the screen
"Do the dance,
move your feet along the sand."
The sand walk. If you guys like Dune.
We're always gonna be dropping Dune references.
When the Dune TV show on HBO gets closer to dropping, we will do an entire Dune episode where we break down the series and our love for it because we're both huge fans.
Absolutely. Huge.
So yeah, I mean, basically the movie kind of just ends here. Astrid obviously accepts the fact that there are ghosts. I mean, she learned that really well. She kissed one. Might have been her first kiss. We don't know.
I hope not for her sake.
I hope not. So her and her mom definitely have some bonding. The movie ends in true good fashion. It ends on a really fucking weird note. That dream sequence is weird and off kilter, and I kind of like it. I kind of like it.
It's an off kilter ending that would fit in the world of Beetlejuice as itself, but also can kind of maybe set he's still around.
Yeah.
For the sequel. So I think it accomplished both jobs there.
Yeah. What happens is we get a flash forward. Astrid falls in love. I guess when they are at Dracula's castle, which is a place that she always wanted to visit. Seems like they end up going there. She sees a guy, they fall in love, and they have a baby. And when the baby comes out, it's
Beetlejuice baby.
It's Beetlejuice baby.
And he kills, brutally killed. The goriest scene in the movie out of nowhere.
Yes.
Kills the doctors.
Yes. And it's like, what? Is this how the movie's going to end? And then Lydia wakes up, and it was a dream.
Yes. So, you don't have to dive too much into it. If that would have been the ending, how you felt, and because there was when the camera was zooming in on Jenna Ortega and she was just laughing, I'm like, is the camera gonna end right here? I was like, is the movie gonna end? I think
that would have been better, honestly. I think that would have kept me laughing more, with the credits rolling, right? Because after Lydia woke up, it's like, okay, it was a dream.
It was a dream, yeah.
But if that was really how it went down, I don't know. I kind of would have fucked with that.
I don't know how, because I think I would have fucked with it, but in my head, while that was happening, I was like, oh, well, I guess the third one's not happening.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess the third one's not happening.
But yeah, it wouldn't have made any sense if that really happened. But there is a second dream, because when Lydia wakes up,
Correct.
Beetlejuice is in the bed with her, and then she wakes up again.
Yes.
And then the movie ends.
And then, but it ends with her like looking at the pillow where he was laying, or you think he was laying,
Where he would have been laying.
Where would have been laying, and she looks back, but the look on her face isn't like a thing of terror. The look on her face is just like, here we go again.
And how was Beetlejuice locked away? I'm forgetting that element.
So she says Beetlejuice, 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 like the first one, but he just kind of I thought he died because he kind of not catches on fire, but kind of like evaporates down to a small version of himself. Yeah. And once he gets to like just like this big, he kind of just poofs away. Okay. Yeah, and that's really all it was. Like, it wasn't this big thing of them like locking him away or anything. That's she just kind of said his name 3 times. Yeah.
So that's basically the whole movie. You want to start, Jay, on your general feelings for this movie? And
yeah, sure. So overall, I don't know if we sounded. Well, I don't know how you feel exactly overall, but me, I don't know. I might have sounded more pessimistic about it. I actually liked it. Like, it's not. I don't think it's nearly as good as the first one. And again, this is coming from people who are not heavily attached to this IP. I will say that up front. So many people are going to love this movie. If you love the first Beetlejuice, go see it. Like, if you really do, because I think a lot of people are going to love this movie more than we did. But I just thought the thing that really bogged it down was the amount of elements that just were in the movie and didn't add up to anything. Yeah. And they were mainly plot devices for the 3 main characters. And I just don't think they blended that together, but it was funny. It was an easy watch. Keaton was great. I love the practical effects and the whimsical fantasy style of Burton, like that part of him when he's that part of him that I like, that was there. So yeah, I give it about I haven't reviewed it on Letterboxd yet, but I'm sitting at around like 3.
I'm right there with you.
I think it's decent.
I'm feeling 3 stars.
Good time. Yeah. But could have been a lot. You see, it could have been a lot better. But
yeah.
Go see it.
I definitely don't see myself rewatching this one as much as the first.
It's not going to be an every year thing for me like the first one was.
Because it is a bit longer of a movie.
It is.
And that extra runtime really doesn't do anything for us. No. Maybe we'll come to appreciate the plot be more in the second playthrough, but it's not. I definitely see myself rewatching the first one because it's so short and it's just such a smoother experience than this one. But otherwise, my opinions are pretty much the same as yours. I had a lot of fun.
Same.
There's great practical effects. The soundtrack is fantastic. Keaton is awesome, as though he is underutilized. Beetlejuice is unfortunately just underutilized in the movie, named after him. I love seeing Winona Ryder again. I always enjoy her. Just my waifu.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think she's a lot of people waifus,
So.
Understandably so. And
Heathers, shout out
really
Heathers.
Quick about the actor, because the actor, I'm so sorry I'm butchering his last name, Arthur Conti, the guy who played Jeremy.
Okay.
I want to shout the actor out because I thought he was awesome.
What else is he in? I feel like he looked familiar.
I'm not really sure. Let me see. Let me see real quick. This is his only movie.
Really?
I clicked on his name on Letterboxd.
Breakout role.
And it's his only big movie.
Yeah, so I think we both are giving it a thumbs up for sure. Go see it, guys. Check it out. Especially if you love the first one, you're bound to love this one. If you're like us and you enjoy the first one maybe once or twice, it's still worth seeing, man. If you want something fun to go see in a theater this weekend, check it out.
And just having said those words, just listening to you, it's actually worth checking out. It feels really good to say that. It feels really good to say that again.
Deep exhale.
We're in good movies now.
Oh,
We're
man.
in good movies.
Yeah, we've got a few good weeks ahead of us.
Next week, man, we got Transformers 1 and See No Evil. Speak No Evil. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to both of them.
Okay, I'm definitely looking forward to that too. This has been a lot of fun, Jordan.
Always, man. Always.
Looking forward to every Thursday, man. I'm just like, can't wait.
It gets me through the week, man. It gets me through the hard days. I really do love doing this, and those who are watching, it means more than you'll ever know. Like, it really does.
Yeah. Thank you guys, much. Especially if you're still listening. That means you got through the whole episode, and that means I love you. And
I love you, and you get a virtual hug.
Yeah, thank you guys.
That's all I can afford. Sorry.
We'll be back next week, and if you guys want to check us out, I do post all my reviews on thefilminformer.org. Jordan here is on Letterboxd, dropping reviews all the time.
Absolutely, and it is my name on Letterboxd.
It'll be linked in the bio as well for you. So,
yep. Also, my TikTok, Jordan Miller 218.
Yeah,
where I post movie reviews and stuff like this.
Yeah, So thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep. You have a good one, guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Peace.